Hello, hello, hello. Okay, let's get this this focus under control. Did that do it, or do I need to? I think it did it. Okay, and let me just adjust this light a wee bit. Okay, very good. All right, so welcome. Good evening. Happy Sunday. Yeah, in some places it's even Monday right now. The new moon. So, we're going to be getting into Journeys Out of the Body by Robert A. Monroe, a classic work on out of body experience. And we're going into chapter 16 tonight, which is titled Preliminary Exercises. All right. Throughout this writing, I have made many references to one evident fact. The only possible way for an individual to appreciate the reality of the second body and existence within it is to experience it himself. Obviously, if it were an easy task, it would now be commonplace. I suspect that only an innate curiosity will enable people to overcome the obstacles in the path of this achievement. Although there are many cases of existence experienced apart from the physical body, they have, for the most part, at least in the Western world, been of a spontaneous, one time nature, occurring during moments of stress or physical disability. We are speaking of something entirely different, which can be objectively investigated. The experimenter will want to proceed in a manner that will produce consistent results, perhaps not every time, but often enough to validate the experience to his own satisfaction. I believe that anyone can experience existence in a second body if the desire is great enough. Whether or not anyone should is beyond the scope of my judgment. Evidence has led me to believe that most, if not all, human beings leave their physical bodies in varying degrees during sleep. Subsequent reading has proved that this idea is thousands of years old in man's history. If it is a valid premise, then the condition itself is not unnatural. On the other hand, conscious, willful practice of separation from the physical is contrary to the pattern, it would seem, in a view of the limited data available. Harmful physical effects of such activity are undetermined. I have not detected, nor have any physicians, any physiological changes, good or bad, that can be attributed directly to the out of body experience. There have been many psychological changes that I recognize, and probably many more that I have not been aware of. However, even my friends in the psychiatric profession have not claimed that these have been detrimental. My gradual revision of basic concepts and beliefs is apparent in a number of ways throughout this writing. If these psychological and personality changes are truly harmful, there is not much that can be done about it now. If they are truly harmful, there's not much that can be done about it now. Yeah. Hey, cool gamer. Hey, little wing. Welcome in. Dudes, it's been a really good Sunday. It's been amazing. Oh my gosh, I had a friend randomly come in from Florida, and I also went to see Corey perform at his show, and I got on stage and I sang. Oh my gosh. Buddy, it was so fun at the show. You guys were so good. That was fun. This is such a good day. Thank you, Corey. That was fun. That was so cool. All right. Back into the book, which is so good, I think. You know what, too? My lips are so dry. Un momento, por favor. I hope this is a fast find. Bam! It was a fast find. Corey, thank you. You're such a dork. You're such a dork. I was thinking about you this afternoon. So awesome. Dude, Tanya, I'm so thankful you came here. I'm so thankful that we got to have the conversations that we did. I'm so thankful I got to meet your granddaughter. And man, I'm so thankful you're here right now, right? All right. There have been many psychological changes that I recognize, and probably many more that I have not been aware of. However, even my friends in the psychiatric profession. Oh, wait, I read that whole thing. Okay. A note of caution is in order here for those who are interested in experimenting. For once opened, the doorway to this experience cannot be closed. More exactly, it is a case of you can't live with it and you can't live without it. The activity and resultant awareness are quite incompatible with the science, religion, and mores of the society in which we live. The mores of society. Everything's evolving always, right? Yeah. Hey, Kimba, cheers. Welcome. Awesome. History is strewn with martyrs whose only crime was nonconformity. If your interest and research become commonly known, you run the risk of being labeled a freak, phony, or worse, and of being ostracized. In spite of this, something extremely vital would be missing if you did not continue to explore and investigate. In the unaccountable low periods, when you cannot produce this activity no matter how carefully you try, you realize this deeply. You have a strong sense of being left out of things, of the shutting out of a source of great meaning to living. Here, then, is the best written description I can give of the technique of developing the non physical experience. The Fear Barrier. That's the title. There is one great obstacle to the investigation of the second body and the environment in which it operates. Perhaps it is the only major barrier. It seems to be present in all people without exception. It may be hidden in layers of inhibition and conditioning, but when these are stripped away, the obstacle remains. This is the barrier of blind, unreasoning fear. Given only small impetus, it turns to panic and then to terror. If you consciously pass the fear barrier, you will have passed a milestone in your investigation. I am reasonably sure that this barrier is passed unconsciously by many of us each night. When that part of us beyond our consciousness takes over, it is not inhibited by fear, although it seems to be influenced by the thought and action of the conscious mind. It seems to be accustomed to operating beyond the fear barrier and understands better the rules of existence in this other world. When the conscious mind shuts down for the night, this supermind, soul, takes over. Yeah, because as I read this, it's like, yeah, I feel this sense of knowingness that this is just as much like breathing air to us because it's where we reside for, half of our lives, if not more. And like we're connected to it at all times through all of our senses. Oh my gosh, dude, I hope the next time you're here that we're performing. And we probably will be because we seem to be booking a lot lately. We'll see what shakes. That will be so cool. Yeah, and Jackie can come too. Oh my gosh. And maybe Emily. Dude, we have to figure out the whole transporting and teleporting thing so that all the people from all the nations can be like, blink. Like I Dream of Jeannie. Or like a nose wiggle or something. Or just like a vibrational meditation. Okay. Okay. The investigative process relative to the second body and its environment appears to be a melding or blending of the conscious with the supermind. If this is accomplished, the fear barrier is overcome. The fear barrier is many faceted. The most fearless of us think it does not exist until, much to our own surprise, we encounter it within ourselves. First and foremost, there is the death fear, because separation from the physical body is much like what is expected at death. Early reactions to the experience are automatic. You think, get back in the physical quickly. You're dying. Life is there in the physical. Get back in. These reactions appear in spite of any intellectual or emotional training. Only after repeating the process 18 to 20 times did I finally gather enough courage and curiosity to stay out more than a few seconds and observe objectively. The death fear was either sublimated or assuaged by familiarity. Others who have tried the technique have stopped after the first or second experience, unable to express this first aspect of the barrier. Oh, unable to suppress this first aspect of the barrier. The second aspect of the fear barrier is also linked with the death fear. Will I be able to return to the physical or to get back in? With no guidelines or specific instructions, this remained a prime fear of mine for several years until I found a simple answer that made it work every time. Mine was a matter of rationalization. I had been out several hundred times, and the evidence showed that I was able to return safely one way or another. Therefore, the probability that was oh, the probability was that I would return safely the next time also. The third basic fear was fear of the unknown. The rules and dangers of our physical environment can be determined to a reasonable degree. We have spent our lifetime building up reflexes to cope with them. Yeah, like octopodes. Now, suddenly, here is another completely different set of rules, another world of entirely different possibilities, populated by beings who seem to know all of them. You have no rulebook, no roadmap, no book of etiquette, no applicable courses in physics or chemistry, no incontrovertible authority you can turn to for advice and answers. Many a missionary has been killed in a remote land under just such conditions. Bam, balls, right? Humans are so dangerous. Oh, yeah, linking up. Thank you so much, Little Wing. Wow. It does stink, the whole time zone thing. And daylight savings. Hey, but we're under the same moon and the same sun. And yeah, the same stars. Maybe. Probably. I must confess that this third fear still crops up, and with justification. The unknown is still, to a great degree, unknown. Such penetration as I have made has brought forth pitifully few unalterable and consistent rules. I can say only that, to date, I have survived these expeditions. There is so much that I do not comprehend or understand, and more that is beyond my ability to do so. Another fear is the how do I say it? The consequent effects on the physical body, as well as on the conscious mind, of participation and experimentation in this form of activity. This too is very real, as our history, at least to my knowledge, does not seem to contain accurate reporting of this area. We have studied on paranoia, schizophrenia, phobias, epilepsy, alcoholism, sleeping sickness, acne, virus diseases, etc., but no assembled body of objective data on the pathology of the second body. I do not know how to circumvent the fear barrier except by cautious initial steps that create familiarity bit by bit as you proceed. I hope this writing in its entirety will provide the psychological step over the barrier. It may help to recognize conditions and patterns that are familiar in that at least one person has had similar experiences and survived. The following are the necessary procedural developments. Dude, as I was reading that, like I was already thinking like, plus like, that he's done it. And as I've been going to sleep at night and, thinking about, my prayers, and I think about that too, the rolling out and the vibrations, and also I feel too that it really is like a second, it's like maybe even a first skin, that it's somewhere that that we go all the time and have from the moment we were and before. You know? Yeah, like we're probably all masters at it, right? We do it all the time. I mean, I guess everybody has, varying degrees of talents in other areas on, depending on how much we level up. Take the time. All right, 1, relaxation. The ability to relax is the first prerequisite, perhaps even the first step itself. It is deliberately generated and is both physical and mental. Included with the condition of relaxation must be the relief from any sense of time urgency. You cannot be in a hurry. No pending appointments or anticipated calls for your services or attention must clutter up your thoughts. Impatience of any sort can effectively stifle your prospects for success. There are many techniques available for obtaining this kind of relaxation, and a number of good books cover the subject. Simply select the method that works best for you. There are 3 general methods that seem to work, 2 of which are applicable in these experiences: auto or self-hypnosis. Most self-study books offer this method in different versions. Again, it is a matter of which is most effective for you individually. The most efficient and speediest way is to learn self-hypnosis through the training of an experienced hypnotist. He can set up post-hypnotic suggestion that will bring immediate results. However, select a tutor with care. Responsible practitioners are rare and neophytes numerous. Forms of meditation can be converted to effective relaxation. Dude, I wonder if that. That hypnotist guy I dated all those years ago. Yeah, I don't want to actually. I can't even remember his name, so that's not nice. All right. I don't know. But I mean, shit, why do I feel so guilty? Why do I feel so guilty? He was a really nice man, It was a long time ago. All right. Borderlands sleep state. This is perhaps the easiest and most natural method, and usually ensures relaxation of both body and mind simultaneously. The difficulty here lies in the maintenance of that delicate edge between sleep and complete wakefulness. All too often, you simply fall asleep, and that ends the experiment for the moment. By practice, conscious awareness can be taken up to this borderland state, into it, and through it to your destination. There is no way to achieve it that I know of other than practice. The technique is as follows: lie down, preferably when you are tired and sleepy. As you become relaxed and start to drift off into sleep, hold your mental attention on something, anything, with your eyes closed. Once you can hold the borderland state indefinitely without falling asleep, you have passed the first stage. It is, however, a normal pattern to fall asleep many times in the process of this consciousness deepening. You will not be able to help yourself, but do not let this discourage you. It is not an overnight process. You will know you are successful when you become bored and expect something more to happen. Wait. You you will know you are successful when you become bored and expect something more to happen. Okay. If attempts to remain at the borderland state make you nervous, this too is a normal reaction. The conscious mind seems to resent sharing the authority it has during wakefulness. If this occurs, break the relaxation, get up and walk around, exercise, and lie down again. If this does not relieve the nervousness, go to sleep and try another time. You are just not in the mood. Hey, welcome. Hey, awesome. Welcome in. Cool beans. Hey, Prelly too. This is so cool. And Mary. Awesome. So, Mystics Arts. I like that. Mystic. Cool. All right. When you're fixative, the picture thought you have been holding slips away and you find yourself thinking of something else. You are close to completion of condition A. Once you have achieved condition A, the ability to hold calmly in the borderland state indefinitely with your mind on an exclusive thought, you are ready for the next step. Condition B is similar, but with the concentration eliminated. Do not think of anything, but remain poised between wakefulness and sleep. Simply look through your closed eyes at the blackness ahead of you. Do nothing more. After a number of these exercises, you may hallucinate mind pictures or light patterns. These seem to have no great significance and may merely be forms of neural discharge. I can remember, for example, attempting to achieve this state after watching a football game on TV for several hours. All I saw were mind pictures of football players tackling, running, passing, etc. It took at least a half hour for the pattern to fade away. Ooh. These mind pictures are apparently related to your visual concentration in the preceding 8 or 10 hours. The more intense the concentration, the longer it seems to take to eliminate the impressions. You have accomplished condition B when you are able to lie indefinitely after the impressions have faded away with no nervousness and seeing nothing but blackness. Condition C is a systematic deepening of consciousness while in the B state. This is approached by carefully letting go of your rigid hold on the borderland sleep edge and drifting deeper little by little during each exercise. You will learn to establish degrees of this deepening of consciousness by going down to a given level and returning at will. You will recognize these degrees by the shutting down of various sensory mechanism inputs. The sense of touch apparently goes first. You seem to have no feeling in any part of your body. Smell and taste soon follow. The auditory signals are next, and the last to fade out is vision. Sometimes the last two are reversed. I suspect that the reason for vision being last is that the exercise calls for the use of the visual network, even in blackness. Iowa. I love Iowa. Even though I haven't spent a lot of time there, I traveled through just like a corner and dang, what was that little town called? It was so cool. I always wanted to go back there and stay. How am I going to do that if I can't remember the name of it? I bet Fred will remember. Bell. I don't know. Okay. Condition D is the achievement of C when one is fully rested and refreshed, rather than tired and sleepy, at the beginning of the exercise. This is quite important and not nearly as easy to achieve as it is to write about. To enter the relaxation state full of energy and wakefulness is great insurance for maintaining conscious control. The best approach to take in the early attempts at the condition D exercise is to start it immediately after you wake up from a nap or a night's sleep. Start the exercise before you move around in bed physically, while your body is still relaxed from sleep and your mind is fully alert. Don't take too many liquids before sleeping, and you won't have the immediate need to empty your bladder upon awakening. Induction by drugs. None of the relaxation producing drugs that are readily available seem to help. Barbiturates, barbiturates. Did I say it right? Barbiturates force a loss of conscious control and only bring a confused state in deeper consciousness. The same is true, to a lesser degree, of tranquilizers. Relaxation is obtained, but at the cost of perception. Alcohol in any form brings similar effects. More exotic compounds, such as the alkaloids and hallucinogens, may be more productive. I have not had enough experience or contact with these to offer an opinion or even an educated guess. It would seem that far-reaching research is indicated for these. I have utilized all three methods and rejected drug relaxation quite early, as it resulted in both too much loss of conscious control and distorted perception. In the first technique, hypnotic induction tapes were specially prepared for the experiments. They were quite useful and effective. The Borderlands sleep state techniques have been employed most often. In spite of the complicated sounding procedure, it is the most natural method for me. 2. State of vibration. The generation of this effect is the most critical of all. The subjective sensory impression it creates is described elsewhere. Once it is achieved, you will certainly not have to be told you've been successful, and you will have passed another major hurdle. All that can be given are clues. At the present level of knowledge, it is not known why these things work. It is much like turning a switch to obtain light without having any idea of what the switch does, where the electricity comes from, or why and how it acts upon a bulb enclosing tungsten filaments. At the least, all of the material contained herein has been established as empirically as possible. Aside from the principal human laboratory, this writer, several other individuals have tried the pattern. Suffice it to say that they have obtained positive results. Aids to the vibrational state. Lie down in whatever position is most conducive to your state of relaxation, but with your body along a north-south axis, with your head to magnetic north. Loosen any clothes you may be wearing. Keep covered so that you feel just slightly warmer than is generally comfortable for you. Remove any jewelry or metal objects close to or touching your skin. Be sure that your arms, legs, and neck will relax in a position that will not impede circulation. Darken the room enough to ensure that no light can be seen through your eyelids. Do not use a completely blacked out room, as you will then have no visual point of reference. All right, absolute requisites. Ensure without question that you will not be disturbed in any way, either by direct physical intervention, a phone ringing, or other interrupting noises. Do not set a time limit or a deadline. The time you spend in the experiment is not more valuably spent elsewhere, and you should have nothing impending that might cut short this activity. I like the way he says that. Yay, Andrea, welcome! So awesome. I was hopeful I'd get to see you again. So cool. Welcome back. Well, mother of pearls. Okay. Achieve the state of relaxation. Do this by whatever method you have found workable in your own individual case. Work to condition D or its equivalent, and hold at the deepest level of relaxation possible without weakening your consciousness. When you have taken as much time as you need to be sure you have obtained this, mentally repeat, I will consciously perceive and remember all that I encountered during this relaxation period. I will recall in detail, when I am completely awake, only those matters that will be beneficial to my physical and mental being. Ooh, I like that. I'm repeating it. I will consciously perceive and remember all that I encountered during this relaxation period. I will recall in detail, when I am completely awake, only those matters that will be beneficial to my physical and mental being. Say this mentally 5 times. Then begin breathing through your half-opened mouth. Establish the vibration waves. As you continue breathing through your half-opened mouth, concentrate on the blackness in front of your closed eyes. Look first into the blackness at a spot a foot away from your forehead. Now move your point of concentration to 3 feet away, and then 6 feet. Hold for a while until the point is firmly established. From there, turn the point 90 degrees upward, on a line parallel to the body axis and reaching out above the head. Reach for the vibration at that spot. When you find them, mentally pull them back into your head. This simple description must pose many questions. Reach out with what? Pull what back into your head? Let us try another method of explanation. Begin a mental concentration as if 2 lines were extending from the outer sides of your closed eyes. Think of them as converging at a point a foot away from your forehead. Visualize a resistance or pressure when these 2 lines meet, as if 2 charged electric wires were joined or poles of a magnet forced together. Now extend this juncture outward to about 3 feet, or the length of your arm outstretched. Due to the angular difference, the pressure pattern is altered. A compression of the space forces between the converging lines must result, and the pressure must therefore increase to maintain the convergence. After the 3-foot length has been established and held, extend the intersection point out to 6 feet away from your head, or 30 degrees, so that you can properly visualize the exact angle that represents 30 degrees. It may help to mark off a 30-degree angle by protractor on paper and memorize how it looks. Yeah. Adeep! Welcome! Dude, good to see you. I hope all is well your way. I keep you and your family in my prayers. Once you have learned to establish and maintain a 30-degree angle outward, or roughly 6 feet away, bend the point of intersection 90 degrees, or in an L, upward in the direction of your head, but parallel to the axis of your body. You reach with this point of intersection. Stretch or reach with this point more and more until you obtain a reaction. Again, you will know when you obtain it. It is as if a surging, hissing, rhythmically pulsating wave of fiery sparks comes roaring into your head. From there, it seems to sweep throughout your body, making it rigid and immobile. Once you have learned the process, or the concept, it will not be necessary to go through the entire routine. You need only to think of the vibrations while in a relaxed state, and they come into being. A conditioned reflex has been established, or a neuron path that can be followed again and again. Again, it is not a technique that can be achieved the first time it is tried. The probability of success increases with each successive effort. The more often you attempt it, the more likely you are to have positive results. However, once you have succeeded, it is not always repeatable at will. There are still many variables that interfere which have yet to be isolated and identified, but it does work often enough to be subject to continued study. Boom. Dang, right? 3. Control of vibrations. When you have obtained the vibrational state, there are definite guidelines to follow. The utilization of this condition under conscious control is the goal you are seeking. To accomplish this, there are careful procedures to observe. They should, of course, be followed in sequence, in the order presented. There is no evidence to indicate that this vibrational state has a deleterious effect on either the mind or the physical body. Here, then, are some procedures that can be applied systematically. They are a distillate of literally hundreds of trial and error experiments. Acclimatization and accommodation. This is a way of saying that you should let yourself get accustomed to the feel of this unusual condition. All fear and panic must be eliminated when you feel waves like an electric shock without pain permeating your body. The best method seems to be to do nothing when they occur. Lie quietly and objectively analyze them until they fade away of their own accord. This usually takes place in about 5 minutes. After several such experiences, you will realize you are not being electrocuted. Try to avoid panicky struggling to break the paralytic condition. You can break it by sitting up with great force of will, but you will be disappointed with yourself for doing so. After all, this was what you were trying to achieve. Manipulation and modulation. Once you have eliminated the fear reactions, you are ready for control steps. First, mentally direct the vibrations into a ring. A ring? Or force them all into your head. Then mentally push them down along your body to your toes, then back up to your head. Ooh. Meridian lines, energy centers, maybe. Start them sweeping in a wave over your body rhythmically, from head to toes, and then back again. After you have given the wave momentum, let it proceed of its own accord until it fades away. It should take about 10 seconds, 5 down, 5 back, for the wave to make a complete circuit from head to toes and back. Practice this instantly upon mental command and move steadily until fade out. By this time, you will have noticed the roughness of the vibrations at times, as if your body is being severely shaken right down to the molecular or atomic level. This may be somewhat uncomfortable, and you will feel a desire to smooth them out. This is accomplished by pulsing them mentally to increase their frequency. Their original vibratory rate seems to be on the order of some 27 cycles per second. This is the rate of the vibration itself, not the head to toe frequency. The pattern responds to this pulsing command very subtly and slowly at first. Your first indication of success is when the vibrations no longer seem rough and shaking. You are well on your way to control when they produce a steady, solid effect. It is essential that you learn and apply this speed up process. The faster vibration effect is the form that permits disassociation from the physical. Once you have set the momentum of the speed up, the acceleration seems to take place automatically. Eventually, you may sense the vibrations only as they begin. They will increase their frequency, like a motor starting up, until the frequency is so high that you are unable to perceive it. At this phase, the sensory effect is one of body warmth, slightly tingling, but not excessively so. Constant achievement of this stage is a sign that you are ready for the first physical disassociation experiments. Another word of warning is in order here. Beyond this point, I believe you cannot turn back. Ultimately, you will be committed to the reality of this other existence. How this will affect your personality, your daily life, your future, and your philosophies rests entirely with you as an individual. For once you have been open to this other reality, you can you cannot completely shut it out again, try as you might. The pressure of material affairs may sublimate it for a time, but it will return. You cannot always stay on guard against its reopening. As you start to sleep or awaken, when you merely relax, the vibrational surge may come without call. You can shut it off, of course, but eventually you become too tired to bother, and you are off on another excursion. You sense that you are fighting against yourself. And who wants to fight oneself at the price of a good night's sleep? Awesome. 40 minutes. Ooh. It's almost 11 o'clock. Dang, I so want to keep reading. I also feel like relaxing. Balls, right? Thank you. Thank you too. It's so cool. All right, I'm going to read this chapter because it's called The Separation Process, and it feels like it goes right with it, right? I mean, 6 pages. I could do that. I want to. Okay, yeah. And then that's what I'm going to call it. Okay. 17. The Separation Process. After you have achieved the state of vibration and some control of your stage of relaxation, one additional factor must be considered. It is probable that you have already obtained it, since it is ordinarily a product of the previous exercises. However, it should be emphasized. This factor is thought control. It is the state of vibration. You are apparently subject to every thought, both willful and involuntary, that crosses your mind. Thus, you must be as close to no thought or single thought concentration as possible. If one stray idea passes through your mind, you respond instantly, and sometimes in an undesirable manner. I suspect that one is never completely free of such misdirection. At least I have not been, which may account for the many inexplicable trips to places and people I do not know. They seem to be triggered by thoughts or ideas I didn't realize I had, below the conscious level. The only approach is to do the best you can. With this in mind, the first practices of disassociating the second from the physical body should be limited in time and action. What follows is designed basically as a familiarization and orientation technique, which should permit an approach to disassociation without fear or concern. Release of extremities. This serves to acquaint you with the sensation of the second body without full commitment. After relaxation and creation of the vibrational state, work with either your right or left hand and arm one at a time. This is important as it will be your first affirmation of the reality of the second. With one hand, reach for any object, floor, wall, door, or whatever, that you remember as being beyond the reach of your physical arm. Reach for that object. Make the reaching process neither upward nor downward, but out in the direction your arm is pointing. Reach as if you were stretching your arm, not raising or lowering it. A variation is simply to reach out with one hand and arm in the same manner with no special object in mind. Often this method is better, as you then have no preconceived idea of what you will feel. When you reach out in this fashion and feel nothing, push your hand a little further. Keep pushing gently, as if stretching your arm until your hand encounters some material object. If the vibration pattern is in effect, it will work, and your hand will eventually feel or touch something. When it does, examine with your sense of touch the physical details of the object. Feel for any cracks, grooves, or unusual details which you will later be able to identify. At this point, nothing will seem unusual. Your sensory mechanisms will tell you that you are touching the object with your physical hand. Here, then, is your first test. After acquainting yourself with the object with your outstretched hand, straighten out your hand and push against the object with your fingertips. You will encounter resistance at first. Push a little harder and gently overcome the resistance you feel. At this point, your hand will seem to go right through the object. Keep pushing until your hand is completely through the object and meets some other physical object. Identify the second object by touch. Then carefully withdraw your hand back through the first object and slowly back to normal so that it feels as if it is where it belongs. Juicy! With this, decrease the vibrations. The best way to do this is slowly to attempt to move the physical body. Think of the physical body and open your physical eyes. Bring back your physical senses deliberately. Once the vibrations have faded away completely, lie still for a few minutes for full and complete return. Then get up and make a notation of the object which you felt, locating in relation to the position of your hand and arm when you were lying down. Note the details of both the first and second objects which you felt. Having done this, compare your description with the actual first object. Make special note of small details which you could not have seen from a distance. Physically feel the object to compare it with what you felt under the vibrations. Examine the second object in the same manner. You may not have been consciously aware of its presence or position prior to the experiment. This too is important. Test the line of direction from the place where your physical hand lay, through the first object and up to the second. Is it a straight line? Check your results. Was the first object you touched physically located at the distance it would have been absolutely impossible to reach without physical movement? Did the details of the object, especially the minute details, coincide with the notes you have made? Make the same comparison for the second object. If your answers are affirmative, and you have had your then if your answers are affirmative, you have had your first success. If the facts do not check out, try again another day. Almost without qualification, if you have produced the vibrational state, you can perform this exercise. You can also practice the following quite easily. After producing the vibrational state, lying on your back, arms either at your sides or on your chest, gently lift your arms without looking at them and touch your fingers together. Do this quite casually, abstractedly, and remember the sensory results. Once you have clasped your hands above your chest, look at them first with your closed eyes. If you have moved easily enough, you will see both physical and non-physical arms. Your physical arms will be at rest at your sides or upon your chest. The sensory impressions will be with the non-physical arms and hands above your physical body. You should test this phenomenon as many times as you wish, however you desire. Prove to yourself that you are moving not your physical arms, but something else. Do it by whatever means are necessary to give you full assurance of this reality. It is important always to return your non-physical arms to full conjunction with their physical counterparts before shutting off the vibrational state. Although there may be no severe after effect if this is not done, I think it is best not to find out in the early stages. Disassociation technique. The simplest method to use in separating from the physical is the lift out procedure. The intent here is not to travel to far off places, but to get acquainted with the sensation in your own room, with familiar surroundings. The reason for this is that the first true experience will then be examined and explored with identifiable points of reference. In order to assist in this orientation, it is better that these first complete disassociation exercises be conducted during daylight. Test for yourself your needs in regard to the amount of light in the room. Avoid using an electric light if possible. To establish the connection, achieve the vibrational state, and maintain complete control of your thought processes, you are going to stay only in the confines of your familiar room. Think of getting lighter, of floating upward, of how nice it would be to float upward. Be sure to think how nice it would be, as the subjective associated thought is most important. You want to do this because it is something you will respond to emotionally. You react even before the act, in anticipation. If you continue to hold only these thoughts, you will disassociate and float gently upward from your physical. You may not achieve it the first time or the second, but quite surely, if you have accomplished the preceding exercises, you will achieve it. The second method is the rotation technique, which has been mentioned elsewhere. Under the same prescribed conditions, slowly try to turn over, just as if you were turning over in bed to be more comfortable. Make no attempt to help yourself rotate with either arms or legs. Start turning by twisting the top of your body, your head and shoulders first. All by mean oh, by all means, move slowly, exerting gentle but firm pressure. If you do not, you may become loose and actually spin like a log rolling in water before you can alter the pressure. Such action is disconcerting only because you may lose all orientation and be forced to find your way back carefully in rotation juncture. The ease with which you begin to turn, with no friction or sense of weight, will inform you that you have begun to succeed in disassociating. As this happens, turn slowly until you feel that you have moved 180 degrees, i.e., face to face with your physical body. It is uncanny how you will recognize this position. This 180 degrees about face is merely two 90-degree turns, and without orientation, it is easy to sense. Once you are in the 180-degree position, stop the rotation merely by thinking of doing so. Without hesitation, think of floating upward, backing up away from the physical body. Again, if you have reached the vibrational state successfully, this method will surely bring results. Of the two separation techniques, the first should be tried before the second. Then, after both have been examined and tested, the one that seems easiest for you should be utilized. Local experiments and familiarization. Once you have succeeded in the separation process, it is most important for your own objective continuity that you remain in complete control. The only possible way to do this seems to be by staying close to the physical in the early stages. Whatever you may feel emotionally, keep in close proximity to the physical. This admonition is made not because of any known danger, but so that you will maintain a step-by-step familiarity and thus perceive for yourself exactly what is taking place. Wild, uncontrolled trips at this stage may well produce uncomfortable situations and conditions that will force you to relearn much of what you have already achieved. The process of mental acclimation will be different from any you have ever consciously experienced. The gradual adaptation will greatly enhance your peace of mind and confidence. Mother of pearls! Ooh, there's my drink. Well, it's still right there. At this point, the principal exercise is to return. Keep your separation distance no more than 3 feet away, hovering over the physical. Do not make any attempt at this time to move laterally or farther up. How do you know how far away you are? Again, this is something you sense. Your vision now is 0. You have conditioned yourself not to open your eyes and let them remain closed for the moment. Stay close to the physical. The mental concept of this will keep you in proper range. For the next 3 or 4 exercises, do nothing but practice getting out and returning to the physical. To return under those conditions, merely think yourself back into the physical, and you will return. If you have used the first method of separation, the reintegration is relatively simple. When you are back in exact alignment, you will be able to move any portion of the physical body and reactivate any or all of your physical senses. Each time you return, open your physical eyes and physically sit up so that you know you are completely back together. This is to ensure orientation, to instill confidence that you can return at will, and most important, to assure yourself of continued contact with the material world in which you now belong. Whatever you believe, this reassurance is most necessary. If you have applied the rotation method, slowly move back toward the physical, again by thinking of it. And when you feel you have made complete contact, start your rotation back 180 degrees to conjunction with the physical. It seems to make no difference whether you continue the circle of rotation or reverse and return back in a motion opposite to that which helped you release. In both techniques, there seems to be a slight click-like jerk when you are again in conjunction with the physical. An exact description of this sensation is quite difficult, but you will recognize it. Always wait a few moments before sitting up after you have returned, primarily to avoid any possible uneasiness. Give yourself some time to readjust to the physical environment. The physical act of sitting up provides evidence of continuity in a demonstrable form. You will know that you can consciously, willfully act in a physical movement interspersed with experiments in the non-physical environment and retain conscious awareness throughout the process. You will have completed the cycle when you are able to separate, return to the physical, sit up and note the time, go back to the separation process, and return to the physical a second time, all without loss of conscious continuity. The notation of the clock reading will help in this. The next step in familiarization is to separate to a slightly farther distance, applying the same procedures. Any distance up to 10 feet will do. Always keep mental concentration on a single purpose without stray thought patterns, especially in these extended exercises. After you've become accustomed to the feeling of being more apart, mentally tell yourself that you can see. Do not think of the act of opening your eyes, as this may well transmit you to the physical and diminish the vibrational state. Instead, think of seeing, that you can see, and you will see. There will be no sensation of eye opening. The blackness will just appear suddenly. At first, your seeing may be dim, as if in half light, indistinct, or myopic. It is not known at present why this is so, but with use, your vision will become more sharp. The first sight of your physical body lying below you should not be unnerving if you have applied the previous exercises. After you are satisfied that it is you lying there, visually examine the room from the perspective of your position. Mentally move slightly in one direction or another, slowly and never violently. Move your arms and legs to reassure yourself of your mobility. Roll around and cavort in the new element if you wish, always staying within the prescribed range of the physical. At this stage, you may be filled with strong desires which can be almost overwhelming. This is the greatest problem you may face at the moment. These desires, appearing unannounced and unexpectedly, are subjective and emotional. and can easily submerge the deductive reasoning position you have built up so carefully. The most important clue is to understand that they must not be labeled evil or wrong. They simply exist, and you must learn to cope with them. The rule is, do not deny the existence of these desires. Recognize them as a deep, integral part of you that cannot be thought away. Until you do this, you will be unable to control them. These desires include freedom, to revel in the release from physical limitations and gravitational effects, sexual contact, first with a loved one, then at a strictly sensory level, religious ecstasy, varying based upon the intensity of early life conditioning, and others that may originate in unusual environmental experiences of the individual. The belief held here is that everyone will have these subjective desires despite the most stringent discipline and self analysis. What we speak of are those elements far below surface consciousness that comprise your own fundamental character and personality. As has been explained earlier, these elements emerge because you are no longer just a conscious, intellectual self. You are perhaps for the first time an entirety. Every part of you will be heard from, and must be considered in any action you take. The trick is to keep the conscious, reasoning you, the one most cognizant of the physical world, in a dominant position. It isn't easy. Therefore, you will run into problems if you attempt a denial of self. Instead, you must accept these sometimes surprising drives for what they are, a part of you, and go on about your business. You cannot eliminate them, but you can set them aside for the moment. Offer the promise of future fulfillment, and you will have no resistance. These needs can understand diversion, as they have been subjected to it for as long as you have lived. Oh. When you have reasonably dealt with these other parts of you, and have demonstrated this is your satisfaction 5 to 7 times. And you have demonstrated this to your satisfaction 5 to 7 times in a near separation condition, in the same room at close vicinity, you are ready for more distant and specific voyages. All of the foregoing presumes that you have overcome most of the fears you have encountered up to this stage. If you have not, repeat the exercises which produce fear until familiarity washes it away. All right, infallible return signal. As noted, the fear of being unable to re-enter the physical is a basic deterrent to leaving the body. In my early experimentation, I encountered this problem many times. Happily, a solution was found whenever this difficulty presented itself. After careful analysis of hundreds of tests, an infallible technique was evolved. Was evolved. The only guarantee that can be given is that it has continued to work for me. First, if you have difficulty, don't panic. Above all, keep your rational thought processes dominant. I better get a sip. I'm starting to. Yeah, it's a good book to buy. First, if you have difficulty, don't panic. Above all, keep your rational thought processes dominant. Terror only aggravates the situation. Internalize this simple formula and call upon it. To return to the physical from wherever you are, think of your physical body. Mentally begin to move some part of your physical body. Move a finger or a toe. Physically take a deep, deliberate breath of air. Reactivate your 5 physical senses or any one of them. Move your jaw, swallow, or move your tongue. Any act that must involve physical motion or use of physical energy will work. If one doesn't immediately take effect, try another. Without question, some such thought action will bring you back into the physical. It is merely a question of which one works best with you. When this technique is applied, return is virtually immediate. It is an automatic direction finder and rocket blast combined. Reintegration seems to be instantaneous when this is used. However, this immediate return method eliminates your power of choice or decision. Once it is put into effect, you cannot stop it. You will return to the physical without any opportunity to know what is happening and how it is taking place. Thus, it should be thought of as an emergency reserve measure rather than a consistent step in your methodology. Under ordinary conditions, you should think of or feel the direction and location of your physical body. Then, with no urgency and in a calm, willful manner, start to return. The mechanics of movement. Now that you have set up the proper controls, including the emergency return signal, you are ready for the most momentous step of all, to go to a distant point and return. It is definitely not advisable deliberately to attempt this exercise before you have completed all previous tests and are at ease with them. It is quite possible that you may have inadvertently gone to a distant point during the early stages. If this is the case, you can recognize the importance of following a procedure. First, set your point. Remember the rule: you must go to a person, not a place. It may be possible to achieve the latter if you have a deep emotional attachment to a locale, but the experiments to date have shown little success along this line. This, of course, may be due to the personality of the writer. Select the person living with whom you desire to visit. Choose someone you know quite well. Do not inform this person that you are making the test. This is most important so as to rule out any suggestion on his or her part. Make this selection before you enter the vibrational state and before you start your relaxation process. Establish relaxation and the vibrational state. Use your chosen method to separate. Move away to near distance, 6 or 7 feet from the physical. With your vision still in blackness, cautiously think of the person whom you plan to visit. Think not only of the name, but of the personality and character of the person. Do not try to visualize a physical being, for it is the reflection of the inner person that will attract you, rather than the physical attributes. As you think in this pattern, turn yourself around slowly in 360-degree rotation. Somewhere in the circuit, you will feel the right direction. It is an intuitive thing, a sureness that attracts you like a gentle magnet. Even so, you can check for verification. Go past this point in your turn and come back to it. Again, you will sense it very strongly. Stop facing this direction. Think that you have vision and begin to see. To give yourself motion toward your destination, employ a total second body version of the stretch, which you practiced in your first exercise with hand and arm. The easiest method is to place your non-physical arms over your head, thumbs latched together like a diver about to plunge into the water. With your arms in this position, think of the person you wish to visit and stretch your body in that direction. You may move fast or slowly, depending upon the effort of this stretching action. The harder you stretch, the faster you go. At your destination, you will automatically stop stretching without realizing it. To return, apply a similar method. Think of your physical body, reach out and stretch, and you will return promptly. Usually no more is required than this. There is some speculation regarding the necessity of keeping your arms in the driver's position. Originally, it was assumed that this stance would break a path or ward off any encountered objects with the hands rather than the head. It does help create the stretching action better than keeping the arms at the sides. There you have it. The foregoing may seem ritualistic, but it is not intended to. It may appear no better than the magic formula of the Middle Ages. To date, there are no explanations of why the technique works. Perhaps, in the years to come, interested and curious physicists, chemists, neurologists, and other scientists will develop workable theories to fit the action. If enough people undertake to examine it, empirically, perhaps a new science will result. In the meantime, boundaries can disappear for you too. If you have courage and patience, the only way you can accept and know this extended reality is to experience it yourself. Good luck. Dang. Bam, we did it, y'alls. Freaking awesome. So thanks for hanging out with me this Sunday. What a good way to wind down and up. It's like simultaneous. I'm so relaxed, but I've got lots of thoughts. Dang. So I appreciate you guys and ladies and all. And I love you and I believe in you. And tomorrow's the new moon. It's 1122 right now. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, tomorrow is the new moon. Let's think about the things that the energies we're beholding and the things we're bringing in for this new cycle. So, mwah, I love you very much, and I'll see you so soon. Thank you. Good night.